After the devastating battle inside the gate, the surviving hunters finally emerged. Outside, reporter Kim and the bystanders were horrified to see the number of casualties, many of them elite hunters from the Hunters Association and the Supervision Bureau. Even Sung Jinwoo and Cha Ha-yin, the strongest S-rank hunters, appeared worn out, their bodies wounded and their clothes torn and stained with dried blood, indicating the ferocity of the battle. Reporter Kim, despite his trembling hands, continued to capture these moments. He knew the public needed to see the truth. Hunters were risking their lives to protect society from unimaginable disasters. Yoo Jinho, the head of the surveillance team, though exhausted, protected Jinwoo's privacy, but didn't stop the media from reporting the incident. The sacrifices made by these hunters deserved to be known. The next day, while most media outlets were obsessed with Japan's dungeon break disaster, only a small Korean newspaper reported on the deadly double dungeon battle, an event that could have been catastrophic if not for the hunters' sacrifices. Meanwhile, in Japan, the situation had deteriorated into a nightmare. A senior officer from the Federal Bureau of Hunters flew over Tokyo to assess the damage. What he witnessed was nothing short of hell on earth. Entire buildings flattened, cars crushed like paper, fire and smoke engulfing the skyline, and a city reduced to ashes. Yet, what struck him most was the eerie absence of human corpses. A Japanese staff member explained the giants had devoured the victims, leaving almost no trace of humanity behind. The officer realized that these monsters were not just killing, but deliberately erasing all evidence of human civilization, different from any monsters he'd seen before. Ironically, this rampant destruction gave some people a chance to escape, but the bitter taste of survival was mixed with the sorrow of immense loss. While surveying from the helicopter, the officer spotted a massive, motionless monster at the heart of Tokyo's ruins, the same giant that had shattered Yuri Orlov's barrier. Unlike the others that roamed freely, this boss appeared to be guarding the gate, or waiting for someone. The Japanese staff members speculated that the giants acted more like emotionless machines than living creatures. The officer, skeptical at first, was silenced when the boss's fiery red eyes suddenly looked straight at their helicopter, sending a chill down his spine. Only by keeping a safe distance did the monster remain still. When asked about the situation, the staff revealed the chilling numbers. 31 giants had emerged from the gate. Only 2 had been slain, leaving 28 still rampaging across Japan. All of Japan's top hunters had perished, trying to buy time for civilians to escape. In a desperate plea, the Japanese staff member set aside his national pride and knelt before the American officer, begging for help. With trembling words, he reminded him of the US-Japan alliance,
praying that the United States would not abandon Japan in its darkest hour. The officer, though painfully aware of the harsh realities of global politics, where nations weighed sacrifices against interests, could not crush the young man's fragile hope. He promised to relay the plea to headquarters, though deep down he doubted the U.S. would intervene. As he gazed upon the ruined Tokyo skyline, once a symbol of modern civilization, now reduced to rubble, he quietly prayed, "Lord, please don't forsake humanity."
After the fierce battle, Sung Jinwoo returned to the Ajin Guild office in high spirits. His body was filled with vitality thanks to the Black Heart, and despite having slain the angelic statue who created the system, his daily quests continued to appear as usual. Yet questions lingered in his mind, the strange memory he saw when obtaining the Black Heart, and the mysterious identity of the so-called Emperor. On his way to the office, Jinwoo noticed a commotion outside the building. Yoo Jinho was surrounded by a crowd of reporters, bombarding him with tough questions about the Hunters Association disaster and Jinwoo's involvement. Initially, Jinwoo thought about stepping in to help his friend, but after observing closely, he realized Jinho, despite being flustered, was holding his ground and handling the media quite well, perhaps even enjoying the attention. Jinwoo smiled, amused, debating whether to sneak quietly into the office or simply head home. Suddenly, a luxury car pulled up beside him. A distinguished man stepped out and bowed politely. None other than Yoo Myung-han, the chairman of the Yoo Jin Group and father of Yoo Jinho. His unexpected appearance surprised Jinwoo. Without prior notice, Yoo Myung-han respectfully invited Jinwoo for a private conversation. Though hesitant at first, Jinwoo sensed the matter's importance and agreed to go along. They drove to the Yoo Jin Group headquarters. Throughout the silent yet comfortable ride, Jinwoo remained thoughtful. Upon arrival, the employees were stunned to see the nation's top businessman walking alongside its most powerful hunter, a rare and striking sight. Reaching the chairman's office, an unexpected guest was waiting. Yoo Sok-ho, Yoo Myung-han's older brother and president of a leading pharmaceutical company. Sok-ho immediately recognized Jinwoo, recalling a photo of him with his daughter. Mistakenly believing Jinwoo was romantically involved with her, Sok-ho greeted Jinwoo with warmth and excitement, shaking his hand like a proud future father-in-law. After a cheerful exchange, Sok-ho left, leaving Yoo Myung-han and Jinwoo alone. The chairman asked his secretary to give them privacy and invited Jinwoo to sit. The atmosphere turned serious. After a thoughtful pause, Yoo Myung-han finally presented Jinwoo with a special bank check issued by the Yoo Jin Group, but with no amount written on it. This blank check symbolized more than wealth. It was a gesture of absolute trust, an invitation to an alliance, or perhaps a desperate request for help from one of Korea's most powerful businessmen to its strongest hunter. Though Yoo Myung-han did not immediately state his intentions, it was clear that this meeting marked the start of something far greater than a simple conversation, a new chapter where the worlds of business and hunters intersect, setting the stage for challenges and opportunities neither side had ever faced before.
Inside the quiet office of Yoo Jin Group, Sung Jinwoo silently stared at the blank check laid before him. A check with no number, symbolizing absolute sincerity and perhaps desperation. Chairman Yoo Nyun-han broke the silence, admitting he wasn't arrogant enough to believe money could buy everything. What he truly sought was Jinwoo's compassion. He revealed his darkest secret. He was suffering from the same mysterious illness that had once trapped Jinwoo's mother in a coma. Only Jinwoo knew the truth. His mother was cured by the holy water of life, an extremely rare item from the system that only he could obtain. Yoo Myung-han wished to live, to protect the empire he had built, and to witness the future of his family. He begged Jinwoo for help, not as a businessman, but as a father and a man facing death. But Jinwoo calmly refused. He wasn't cruel, he was cautious. He couldn't afford to use such a rare item on someone's character and intentions he didn't fully trust. What if Chairman Yoo, after being cured, used his life for selfish ambitions that harmed others? Despite the chairman's pleas, Jinwoo remained unmoved. If I had a cure and wanted money, I would have sold it long ago, Jinwoo said coldly. The rejection struck Yoo Myung-han deeply. For the first time in his life, the titan of industry found himself powerless. He realized his mistake. He had approached Jinwoo like a business deal, failing to understand that the hunter before him wasn't motivated by wealth or fame. Jinwoo wanted nothing from the world. Accepting defeat, Yoo Myung-han politely asked his secretary to escort Jinwoo out. Jinwoo left the towering building with a heavy heart. He didn't enjoy refusing the father of his close friend, but he knew he had made the right decision. As he crossed the lobby, a breaking news broadcast caught his attention. Live footage from Tokyo showed a city reduced to ruins. Giants roamed the streets, devouring helpless citizens. The military's efforts were useless, and death tolls had reached millions. It was catastrophic. Jinwoo's face hardened. For the first time, he fully grasped the scale of the disaster. He recalled the Jeju Island calamity 4 years ago. But unlike Jeju, Japan wasn't an isolated island. It was a vast nation, teetering on the brink of annihilation. A troubling thought crossed his mind. Were giants the only ones to emerge from the gate? He couldn't shake the feeling that something worse might be lurking inside. On the second day of the dungeon break, the world watched in horror. Nations asked, could the gate be closed? Who would save Japan? Would the United States intervene? As political powers hesitated, 10% of Japan was already destroyed. Refugees flooded the skies in helicopters, fleeing for survival. But Japan, surrounded by oceans, had nowhere left to run. Criticism soon turned toward South Korea. The world remembered how Japan had sent S-rank hunters to help Korea during the Jeju crisis. Now they questioned why Korea stood by idly. Public outrage grew. Get off your seats and do something, Korea. How could you forget the help Japan gave you? Finally, on the third day, Chairman Gunhee of the Korean Hunters Association stepped forward. Facing dozens of cameras and countless reporters, his voice resonated with gravity. I deeply regret the tragedy unfolding in Japan, and now I will reveal the Korean Hunters Association's plan of action.
At the FBH press conference, the United States finally broke its silence on the crisis in Japan. We are deploying our elite hunters, the spokesperson announced, bringing a flicker of hope to the desperate Japanese reporters. But their relief was crushed in the next breath. However, they are not being dispatched to assist Japan. The room fell into stunned silence. On the screen behind the spokesperson, a new disaster was revealed. An enormous gate had opened in eastern Maryland. It was as large as the one in Japan, classified at the same catastrophic level. For the first time in history, 2 S-rank gates had appeared simultaneously. Though the U.S. had enough S-rank hunters to handle their own crisis, it meant they could not spare a single hunter for Japan. Japan was on its own. Meanwhile, in Korea, Chairman Gunhee also addressed the press. His voice, steady and grave, echoed through the nation. We will not intervene in the situation in Japan. The day before, Jinwoo and Yoo Jinho were alone in the spacious Asian Guild office. As Jinho excitedly suggested clearing a B-rank date, Jinwoo sat in quiet contemplation, eyes fixed on the news from Japan. Suddenly, he asked, "Jinho, should I go to Japan?" Jinho froze. He knew the dangers of an S-rank gate, yet without hesitation, he pulled out a scrapbook filled with news articles documenting Jinwoo's heroics, battles Jinho had never been present for. With trembling determination, Jinho said, "Let me go with you this time." Jinwoo chuckled, brushing it off. "I was just kidding. Who'd go to Japan right now?" But deep down, Jinwoo knew he couldn't turn away. Back home, he found comfort in his mother's cooking and the familiar warmth of family. But watching his sister, Gina, still struggling with trauma, reminded him of the cruelty of the world outside. Later that night, Jinwoo sparred with Burr, the former Ant King and his strongest shadow soldier. Despite giving it his all, Burr couldn't land a single blow on Jinwoo, defeated 127 times in a row. Burr sensed the turmoil in his king's heart and said solemnly, "Do what you wish, my liege. Nothing in this world can stop you." Those words awakened something in Jinwoo. For too long, he had fought to protect his loved ones, but now a greater responsibility called out to him. Back at the press conference, Gunhee exposed the treachery of Matsumoto, the Japanese Hunters Association chairman who had tried to sabotage Korea. The truth devastated the Japanese reporters. Their last hope,
Korea's help was gone. But then, just as all hope seemed lost, Gunhee spoke again. However, there is a hunter from our nation who has volunteered to help Japan. We will not stop him. The room fell silent, hearts pounding. A Korean reporter, voice shaking, asked, "Who is this hunter?" After a pause, Gunhee leaned into the microphone and spoke the name that would ignite hope across a dying nation. Sung Jinwoo. Flash, flash, flash. Hundreds of cameras exploded in a storm of light, capturing the historic moment when Sung Jinwoo became Japan's final hope against annihilation.
The declaration of Sung Jinwoo's departure for Japan sent shockwaves across the world. Hunters worldwide couldn't fathom why a single man would dare step into the hellscape of Tokyo, overrun by giant monsters. These weren't ordinary beasts. They were calamities that no nation dared face. Even America, still scarred by the Karmish disaster that had claimed 30% of the world's top hunters, refrained from intervening. In Maryland, elite hunters gathered in a luxury hotel, scoffing at Jinwoo's audacity. They ridiculed him, betting on how soon he would perish. But amidst the mockery, Thomas Andre, the strongest hunter in the US, confidently wagered his entire guild, Scavenger, on Jinwoo's victory, silencing the room. While the world doubted, Jinwoo and Yoo Jinho quietly prepared to leave. At Incheon International Airport, countless reporters snapped photos as the two walked through the crowds. Jinwoo remained silent and calm, while Jinho followed him, carrying only his faith in Jinwoo. Despite Jinwoo's initial reluctance, Jinho's sincerity and determination convinced him to allow his friend to come along. Before departure, Jinwoo exchanged meaningful glances with Chairman Gunhee and Inspector Woo Jin-chel. In a quiet but powerful moment, Gunhee wished for Jinwoo's safe return, understanding the weight of his decision. As news of Jinwoo's arrival spread, the Japanese people, overwhelmed by despair, finally saw a glimmer of hope. Television screens replayed his legendary battle against the ants of Jeju Island. Though he was just one man, his power defied reason. But hope alone wasn't enough. In the ruins of Japan, people still struggled to survive. In a small hospital, an elderly doctor and his wife refused to abandon their patients. When soldiers from the self-defense forces arrived, unable to evacuate everyone, one desperate soldier pointed his gun at the doctor, fearing they'd all meet a gruesome fate at the hands of the giants. Yet, in a moment of quiet humanity, an old woman offered the soldier a rice ball. Her kindness reminded him why he'd become a soldier in the first place, to protect people like her. Tears fell as he lowered his weapon, choosing to stay and defend the hospital even if it meant death. Then came the thunderous footsteps. a giant approached, devouring one of his comrades before his eyes. In desperation, he fired his rifle, knowing it was useless. Just as death seemed inevitable, a massive shadow descended upon the giant, a monstrous beast cloaked in darkness. It was one of Jinwoo's shadow soldiers, radiating overwhelming power.